For all of those who decided to accompany me on this purge, I salute you, because this will not be an easy ride, but it will be over in just a moment. So I got a series of videos here for you, and I will come back at the end with some commentary. So make sure you stick around for the end, because I'm going to make a startling connection with the videos that you're going to see. That's if you can make it through the videos. So let me apologize in advance for any offenses that you might go through while trying to get to the end of this video. But I promise you it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, so let me give you some intel on what you're going to see right quick. What you're going to see is basically a security guard of a restaurant is going to escort a lady who was kicked out of the restaurant out of the restaurant. And he's going to call a cab for her and wait for the cab for her to get picked up, which is normal protocol when it comes to doing these things.
Sorry about that. I called them when they come, they come. I don't have exact time on them. I just actually called them again when you called me nigger and all kinds of stuff, which I didn't appreciate. I didn't come at you. I didn't come at you disrespectful at all. I didn't come at you disrespectful at all.
I don't fucking care. You act like a nigger.
That's
I'm gonna
fine.
call you.
Can you please stop calling me that?
Well, if you're gonna act like a nigger, then I'm gonna call you.
I am what I am.
I don't fucking care.
So can you please stop calling me that?
You wanna act like a nigger, then I'm gonna call
please
you
stop
a
calling me
fucking
that.
nigger. I don't fucking care.
Can you please stop calling me that?
I don't fucking care. You're a nigger if you act like a fucking nigger.
I am what I am.
Well, then you're a fucking nigger then.
And that's racist.
Put your head down.
You're racist.
Care.
I'm not putting my head down.
I don't fucking care.
I'm not putting my head down.
You're a nigger if you act like a nigger.
That's fine.
You're a nigger if you
I'm
act
a rich
like
nigger. That's fine. That's
You're
fine.
a nigger
I'll
if
be
you
that.
act
That's
like a
fine.
fucking nigger.
No problem. That's fine.
You're acting like a fucking nigger.
How am I acting? I am what I am. I'm black, right?
That's why
Yeah.
we do what we do.
What do you guys do?
You're a fucking nigger.
What do you guys do? What is it that you guys do?
What is my fucking wife?
What is it that you guys do?
Shut the fuck up.
What is it that you guys do?
Don't piss me off.
What is it that you guys do?
Don't fucking piss me off.
I didn't do anything to you.
Don't fucking piss me off.
Alright.
No.
No problem. Can you please stop following me? You have a good night.
I'm not following you.
Yes, you are.
Fucking nigger.
That's fine.
Fucking nigger.
That's fine.
You fucking nigger.
That's fine.
Put your head fucking down.
I'm not putting my head
You're
down.
a fucking nigger.
I never put my head down.
That's why.
I'm a nigger and I'm proud of it.
That's what we have to do.
What do you guys have to do?
These niggers
What do you have to do?
fucking fuck shit up.
What do you have to do? What is it that you have to do?
That's right, right?
What is it that you have to do? What is it that you have to do?
That's why we
What is it that you guys have to do?
fucking nigger.
What does that have to do with anything?
Nigger?
What does that have to do with
You're a
anything?
fucking nigger.
And you're a racist.
Because you're being a fucking
And you're a
jackass
racist.
right now, and you're
I didn't do anything to you. You asked me to call you a
treating me
cab.
like shit.
I called you a cab, and then you start calling me on my name.
You're treating me like shit.
I haven't done anything to you.
No, no.
I literally
no,
haven't done
you
anything
fucking
to you.
Stepped up, and you're being a jackass,
No,
and you're not being right with God right now.
That's
You're
fine.
not being right with God.
That's fine.
You're not being right with God.
That's fine.
You're not being right with God.
That's fine. Can you please back up? Can you please back up, dude?
You're not
Seriously.
being right with God.
All right.
You know you're not being right with
I'll
God.
take that up
You
with-
know it.
I'll take him up. I'll take that up with him. Can you please leave me alone and back up, please?
Come on, you nigger.
Can you please back up, please?
Come on, nigger.
Can you please back up,
Come on,
please?
nigger.
Can you please back up,
Come on,
please?
you fucking nigger.
Can you please back
Come
up,
on, you
please?
fucking nigger. I got the KKK right here.
That's
They're
fine.
watching you invisibly. They're watching you.
Oh, that's cool.
They're watching you. Come on,
That's
nigger.
cool. Can you please back
Come
up,
on,
please?
nigger.
Can you please back up, please?
Come on, nigger.
Can you please back
Come
up?
on, you fucking nigger.
Can you please back
Oh,
up?
can you please back up?
I haven't
Fuck
done
you,
anything.
nigger.
Alright, that's fine.
Fuck you, nigger.
That's fine.
You fucking niggers.
That's fine.
Come on, you fucking niggers. You
That's
want
fine.
to fucking put Lisa out in the open?
You have to be careful. There's a lot of. There's
Fuck
a.
you, fucking nigger.
Alright, that's fine.
Come on, you fucking nigger.
Can you please leave me alone and stop following me?
Niggers are fucking taking over the United States. The
So-
niggers are taking over the United States of America.
Matter of
Fuck
fact,
you, nigger.
there goes PD. I'll have PD handle you.
Fine. Get me a fucking.
I'm gonna get you a taxi, which is PD.
Fuck you, nigger.
That's fine.
Come on, you fucking nigger.
That's fine.
Come on. Punch your nigger face if I want.
Do it again. Do it again. Say it again.
Yes,
dumb nigger. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, post it. I don't care.
Where you going?
White women are just as bad as fucking niggers like you.
Yeah.
Get away from my shit, you fucking dumb
They
nigger.
got the devil coming out of her right there.
Yeah.
They got the devil coming out, y'all.
I'm sick of you.
I already got the tag
The
number.
fucking town is
I already got the tag number. The devil coming right on out of her. Yeah.
Taking over everywhere.
Yeah. We gonna take over the world. How about that?
You're worthless. You are worthless in society.
You are too.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, that's why this kingdom is falling. You ever heard of coronavirus? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. How about this? I said nigga, I'll say it plenty of more fucking times. Say it every fucking day of my life. And nobody's gonna come and shoot me up. So I'll continue to fucking say it. Bye. Said nigga, I'll say it plenty of more times.
This is a stunning video tonight out of Carroll County, and even more shocking, this is the second racist video that has sparked controversy for a high school student in that area.
Pointed.
2 weeks ago, this disgusting TikTok video
Today we're making
was posted by 2 Carrollton High School students. Both students were expelled in less than 24 hours. The mother tells me while the 2 schools are separated by only a 15-minute drive, the way each district handles racial issues is very different.
God and high teens to allow this type of stuff to go on and sweep it up under the rug.
You can't hear me? Hey, wow, hey. Kyle, you're talking to everyone like. Yeah, we heard that. Yeah, you can.
Okay, so did you make it? That you got to this point, I take it you probably did. Now let me drop the obvious first bomb, okay? Let me drop the first jab on them. Where's all lives matter in those situations? Are they ever present? Do they ever protest? Do you ever see them around? Do you see them picketing? Do you ever even hear about them? No, they're non-existent, right? You never see them. The only time you hear about them is when something happens to a black person. And then that's when Black Matter show up. Then it's all lives matter. But I don't want to get it confused because, like I said, I don't get involved in those groups. I look at things from the higher point of view, you know, where you're really supposed to look at it. I don't get attached to the mundane and all that other stuff. Okay. So let me tell you what I did. I showed you a series of clips and all of them are interlinked. All of them are connected. Okay. But the first thing that I wanted to tell you was this. Now you can understand what you heard Joshua read in his speech when he said black people should support black businesses. You're going to say, but Bruce, how does that relate to this? Because as I'm fin to show you, and as you can tell, they're unapologetic about what they call you. Everybody is aware. And as you see, they'll do it at the drop of a dime. Okay. The reason why is to get some respect out of this situation. Your opposer, your opposition only respects 2 things: blood and money. Okay. Blood and money. Now, nobody wants to go the violent route. You know what I'm saying? So what other defense are you left with? Your money. And why do I bring up your money? Because the only time, besides busting these people's head, that you can get them to be apologetic or they'll take heed to the words that they have spoken and damage that they have done is when you hit their pocket.
3 days later.
And I really wanted to apologize and make peace.
And could you say, just press record, just say it one more time, because it did record all the way.
My name is Laura, and I just wanted to come by and say sorry for my behavior last night. I was dropping off food next door, and I just got angry and was very inappropriate, and I want to apologize for my behavior and saying some words that I know were wrong, and I didn't.
Laura got a letter, Laura got a letter, Laura got a letter. I wonder what it says. Bitch, you're fired. Well, the end result that we should learn from this great lesson of a great video that we've learned from this great caucasity of nonsense is that racism just doesn't pay.
You can't hear me? Hey, Wow, hey. Kyle, you're talking to everyone, but... Yeah, we heard that.
Oh, man, we did not.
Yeah, you can...
Yeah, I just want to say I'm sorry. Last night I made a mistake and said the word that should never, ever be said. And, there's no excuse for that. I wasn't raised that way. It's just an awful thing to say. And I feel very sorry for my family, my friends, my partners, the NASCAR community, and especially the African American community. I understand the damage is probably unrepairable, and I own up to that. But I just wanted to let you all know how sorry I am, and I hope everybody is staying safe during these crazy times. Thank you.
Now, as you know, the only thing he is sorry about is getting caught. He's going to say, yeah, I said a word that I never should have said. Like, that's your first time saying it on the live stream. OK, you said it because you're accustomed to saying it. So don't talk about you're embarrassed in the community and stuff like that. You know damn well you say it on a regular basis. You was just on live stream that time. Moral of the story, kids. If you not going to fuck them completely up, you got to hit them financially. OK, and since nobody wants to fight and everybody's talking about peace, how do you gain your respect with the enemy that only respects two things, blood and money? Once again, that double backs on what Anthony Joshua was saying, because you can't get these guys to apologize if there's no repercussions. OK, as little Miss Thing over there I showed you.
And nobody's gonna come and shoot me up, so I'll continue to fucking say it by telling it. I'll say it plenty of more times.
Now, why is she so willy-nilly and so unapologetic? Because she doesn't believe that there's any repercussion to what she is doing until somebody brings up that this might affect her getting into college. Then all of a sudden, an apology is issued. Now, if you paid attention to those videos, it was common language used amongst all of them besides the N-word. And that is the whole, they're taking over everything. You don't deserve to be here. This is basically our country, and basically fear of you taking over the world and disgust of that thought. They project their fears onto you. That's why a lot of people do not get this post. That's because constantly, always as a go-to line, whether you want to admit it or not, or where people want to admit it to not, a white person telling somebody go back to their country is your go-to. That's your go-to line. That is your bread and butter. That is your everything. And that is saying that you feel more entitled to this land than anybody. When in all actuality, you are the least entitled to this land, especially if you're talking amongst the black inhabitants of this country. And that's for those who really know history. It's a reason why you look on the map. It's 5 and 6 times bigger than Africa, even though Africa can fit America inside the country 10 times over. OK, but that's a little something else for another day. But it's the same subject. But notice they all use the same language. And most importantly, why did I use women? You notice I use all women and one guy. Why did I use women? Because women in this country, and especially in America, women are the most privileged and jaded individuals in this country. OK, now, keep in mind, when I speak, I do not rule in absolutes, but I deal in percentages and majority rules. OK, so I do recognize that there's some people that don't, fit into that. But it's not enough to overrule the majority, and the majority rules. OK, so in this country, women are the most privileged individuals walking around on this street. That's just the truth. Now, let me take it a level deeper. White women are the most privileged people in America. I know that may piss some people off. It may piss some simps off. It may piss off some of my female subscribers, but it is true. You are the most privileged individual in the country, period. You are the most privileged. And the reason why I had to use that, look at how they always say black men are a threat, and I was scared, and I was this. Notice this. Notice these white women who some probably wasn't nothing more than 150 pounds. Do you notice that they had no problem running up on these black men and challenging them?
You know it. I'll take that up with him. Can you please leave me alone and back up, please?
Come on, you nigger.
Can you please back up, please?
Come on, nigger.
Can you please back up,
Come on,
please?
nigger.
Can you please back up, please?
Come on, you fucking nigger.
Can you please back
Come
up,
on, you
please?
fucking nigger. I got the KKK right here.
That's
They're
fine.
watching me invisibly. They're watching you.
Oh, that's cool.
Get my shit. Get away from my shit, you fucking dumb nigger.
They were the devil coming out of right there.
Yeah.
They were the devil coming
Now
out
just look at that. These are the same group of men the cops saying that they're so terrified of that they shoot up like Swiss cheese for just picking up their wallet, or how about even laying down on the ground with their hands up? You know what I'm saying? Or maybe sitting on their couch eating a bowl of ice cream at their own home. They get killed. But these women, and one of them was at night, these women have no problem running up on these so-called dangerous, thuggish, just intimidating black men. Why? Why?
They're watching you.
Now, some of you listening have already answered the question. It's because they know the system will protect and it favors them.
They're watching you. Come on, nigger.
Right? Because we all know that, right? Just like men in divorce court. You know you're going to get it handed to you. You know that you're going into that fight with one hand behind your back. You know that as a society, you know that, right? Just like they know that. Just like they know they can run up on men, slap them, because 9 times out of 10, the cops is going to believe them. You know what I'm saying? And they're women and they're white. And if you're blonde, you're a plus. That's why the one girl talking the most shit was the blonde girl. That's because society secretly teaches you who can do what, either consciously or subconsciously. Okay? So they did what they did because they knew that they could get away with it. And this is the whole thing right here. And I hope you guys are listening. If there's women in this world who recognize that they have a certain privilege in society, women, then how in the fuck can anybody deny to you white privilege? Think about that for a second. We all know as women, they have a natural. Do you know women get less tickets? You want to know why? Because they can cry their way, flirt their way out of it. We know this. We know. One of my ex-girlfriends used to get out of tickets all the time. I used to get mad. I'm like, bitch, I can't wait till they write your ass a ticket. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't write a ticket because one, she was cute, so she had the halo effect. You know what I'm saying? Her tits was damn near on the dashboard, so when you pulled over, you know what I'm saying, you couldn't miss them. You know what I'm saying? So we know these things, just like they know these things. Okay? So if they know in society they have soft points that they can manipulate, you think as a whole conglomerate as white people, you guys don't know that? Let me end it with this. And this is only the first part because this gets a lot more deeper than what y'all think. And we're going to stick with these we're going to stick with just these few videos right here. See, because over here in America, you have something that's called reverse racism. And I'm finna show you guys something. Here you have something called reverse racism. Reverse is the opposite of going forward. Okay. That in itself lets you know how intentionally racist people are in America is. Because the fact that you have a classification as something called Reverse racism. What is reverse racism? That is when a black person is racially discriminating against a white person. It doesn't get no more racist than that. See, because what they just told you is the proper way to perform racism. Are you listening? The proper way to perform racism is a white person hating on a black person. If a black person hates against a white person, that is reverse racism. So the proper way of executing racism is a white person executing it to a black person. Those are facts. Because if it wasn't so, do you not recognize racism is racism no matter who is doing it? Okay, this dude could be silver. This dude could be yellow. It's still racism. You're still performing racism. How come when it's a black person that does it to a white person, it's called reverse? That's crazy. That's crazy. But you know what? Please note the Wikipedia version or definition of reverse racism, and then look at the Urban Dictionary. You see, that's the difference. And they tried to push this as something actual. They even wrote books about it. But it's impossible to have reverse racism where racism is racism no matter who projects it. But do you see how they wanted to put and make themselves specific and special when it comes to white people and they experience racism? All of a sudden, their racism gets a special classification to let you know their established order in things, and they call it reverse racism. If an Indian man has a problem with a white man, that's reverse racism. You know, if a Chinese man has a problem with a white man, that's reverse racism. You know what I'm saying? But if a white man has a problem with a Chinese man or a black man, that's just racism. It's how it's supposed to go.